What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Friday Weekly Market Watch. Every Monday and Friday, we sit down and talk about the Lorcana news, the meta trends, and the card prices. On Fridays, I take a little bit of extra time and I hang out with my buddy Zach Stone, who sells cards for a living. Zach, how are you doing today?
Today is not too bad. It is going to be very hot here in Southern California. As just a friendly reminder, guys, since this is a market watch finance channel, make sure to take care of your cards. Temperature can affect your cards. But today is a day that I'm also, or sorry, Tuesday is a day I'm also excited for because that is the premiere of the new Lorecast. And they like to show like new set previews and teasers and talk about the future of the game. I'm excited for it. How do you feel about it, Kevin?
Yeah, I am super excited. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a reveal for set six. We're probably going to get some more news about maybe more events, like the information on the Continentals and when the actual date for that is going to be. And who knows, maybe we'll get more news like extra prize cards or like information about the World event that's happening in the Disney World in Florida next year. So I'm hoping, obviously, like big cope vibes over here if they mention anything about an online simulator client, but I highly doubt it. That's what a lot of people are looking forward to. But usually they tend to just showcase the new set, which is fine too. I was thinking about streaming it next week, maybe doing a little streaming party or something, so we can all experience it together. But I don't know how. Yeah, again, like I feel like they reveal the sets really quickly sometimes, so I'm barely getting used to the set five meta. I don't know if I'm ready for set six, but yeah, make sure to stay tuned to the Lorecast and the Lorcana Goons channel so we can talk about what might get revealed on Tuesday and let us know what you guys think is going to get revealed on Tuesday. But let's get on into this market watch, Jack Stone. I want to talk about these Dalmatian puppy sleeves. These are like $40+ and I've never really, I don't think I've ever seen them in person personally. But I just found out recently through you actually that you can only get these through like a league promo, right?
Yeah, so leagues are given an amount of sleeves to hand out during like I think the end of league prizing, and it's very much like considered a highly sought after pair of sleeves because these have the Dalmatian puppies. They look so adorable and they pair well with a Dalmatian deck. It comes with 65 cards. You might need to get a couple packs if you're looking to play the puppy deck. But yeah, these have been steadily climbing. I have noticed them always have a higher price point. But yeah, it's looking like $44 is your lowest price today on TCG Player. It's something to consider. I've kind of wanted these too, but now with this price point, I think I might stay away. How do you feel, Kevin?
Yeah, I for sure can't drop $50 on a pack of sleeves. And then I'd be tempted to use them. And on top of that, we know how like unfortunately how subpar the quality is for the Lorcana sleeves. I would really hope that in the future these Lorcana sleeves just like they up the quality on them because they're so nice. But oh, man, you can't play them unless you double sleeve them. Like you actually cannot play a full tournament with the sleeves raw. Like you can't raw dog it with these sleeves. You know what I mean? Like you will get like not only will you get DQ'd for having messed up sleeves or something, but you're gonna have to change sleeves every round, and even in between games, unfortunately, because as you're shuffling, they just get ruined. They just get ruined. It's really unfortunate. And to pay $50 for that, heck no. You know what I mean? So definitely don't buy these unless you're gonna double sleeve them or use them or keep them sealed. I want to talk about Elsa, Spirit of Winter. We haven't talked about the Elsa Enchanted from the first chapter in a cool minute. I feel like we kind of just put this off to the side since April, especially after the huge hype and then that kind of like crash that it did, but it stayed around $800, and some people got lucky and they even got to buy some for less than 800 on TCG Player from some confirmed sales. But check this out, Zach Stone, you're not going to find it that cheap anymore. Lowest non-verified seller is going to be Gnarly Gaming. They have it for 850 with $5 shipping. Then after that, Solacito has it for 892. Then Sunshiny Games 899. It's looking like it's slowly getting back to that $900 value point. Most recent sales are 815, 881, 839, 850, and then some of the even lucky ones, like I was saying, like 675, 740, 749. So people were paying 800 to 750, like around average, in my opinion, for this card. And I don't think you're going to be able to pay that cheap anymore. It's looking like people are going to start asking for 900 again, but we'll see what happens with the Elsas, with the first chapter Enchanted. Some other extra promo stuff I want to go over before we continue into the meta stuff. The D23 collections, these are still selling for more than $200 today. A lot of them selling at $250 now, actually. $240, $244.99, and lowest verified is $244.95. Actually, Bay Breaks lowest verified is $231 with $8 shipping. So that's around $240. So they're still around $240. Comes with 6 cards, and the cards themselves are just gradually going up in price. We talked about how Ursula is almost $100. We saw this on Monday. We're waiting for a confirmed sale, and we did see a confirmed sale. Check this out. On September 1st, somebody bought one for $95, $94.99, and then now lowest verified is $90 by Hey Hank Games. Then TCG Southside has them for $90 as well, and then TBH Games, shout out you guys, has it for $91.91 for your Ursula Deceiver D23 promos. Very expensive. And that's not all, Zach. Look, the Mickey Mouse BLT from the D23 promo collection is now selling for the lowest verified is $60. We recent sales were 44, 37, 35, 35-ish dollars, and now you have to pay $60. Cryptid Collectibles 59, Lorcana Card Guru 59.99, and look at this, SYGO $80 after that. They have them for $80 with $5 shipping. That's this. What's going on? How do you feel about these? Like, how do you feel about these?
I'm not surprised. It's incredible art, and the extended version just kind of like adds that finishing touch that I think all of us kind of feel with certain characters and card art in this game. So the Brave Taylor Mickey, it just means something to a lot of people. And it is the price card right now still. So that golden Mickey, this might be the next best thing in terms of like holographic, because even though the original D23 Mickey given out at the last D23 Expo is a higher price point, of course, this just stands out ways, in ways that I can't describe. And same with all the other D23 extended art promos. So like the Cinderella Stout Hearted here, which I mean, gosh, look at how like well placed it is. They even added the finishing touches on the end of the sword, which I think is really cool. So much incredible detail. And if you guys do know about that Cinderella Stout Hearted playmat that you can earn at the prize wall, the DLCs, it does have that foiling. So I think it makes so much more sense with that theme. We're looking at this D23 promo going for about $44 is their lowest verified from Lorcana Card Guru. It seems to be, though, that it drastically goes up. I won't be surprised if somebody just pulls the trigger and buys out these 6 copies here for about $45 to $50 each. Kevin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised if somebody pulls the trigger and buys those all, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Even if it does, I don't think the 150 listing is gonna sell like anytime soon. I think there's a lot of people who still have these sealed, and if they start seeing these sell for $100 a card, they're gonna start listing the cards themselves. You know what I mean? So be patient with opening yours if you're planning on opening it up. But I think there's merit to getting these graded now for sure, which is kind of interesting. But let's get on into the meta stuff, Zach. Let's get into the meta stuff. Spice of the week: Amber Steel is like taking over the local scene, is what it feels like, and Ruby Sapphire, by the way. But no surprise why Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwoods, are back at $45 almost. Gambit card stock $42.23 with $2.49 shipping for a non-foil Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood. And let's check out these cold foils today. Cold foils are almost the same price if you want to go through non-verified sellers, $44 with $1 shipping. That's basically the same price, actually. Then another one for $45. Lowest verified is going to be $48 with $1.22 shipping by Mr. Comic and Nerd. So almost about $50 for your Robin Hood Champion of Sherwoods. Look at this, Zach. Elsa, Spirit of Winter from the first chapter. These have been going up a little bit in price actually this week. No longer less than $10. In June, July, you could find them for $7, $8. And now lowest verified is actually $16.21, almost double the price. Ramblin' Pokedad has them for $16.21, lowest verified. Non-verified sellers have it for significantly less if you want to get a little bit of a discount. Frown Collectibles $12.36 with $1 shipping. KLG Collectibles, they don't have any sales. $10 with $5 shipping. Maybe give them your first sale, my goons. What do you think, Zach? I mean, this is obviously happening because you can play it in Blurple. Blurple is pretty popular. You can play this in combination with Elsa Fit Spirit. People are playing it in Ruby Amethyst. Do you like the card?
I think the card's very well statted. We've always talked about 4 strength being the perfect number, 6 willpower also being a very, very high defense stat because it does not die to a single Zeus. And 3 lore on the body is very, very threatening in the late game. Hard to out, hard to answer, and it disrupts so much on the next turn. I remember this card from the first chapter, and I remember how devastating it was when it was played back then. And now that it's coming back, it's kind of triggering some past trauma. So I do I do kind of like that it is back in the meta too. With all jokes aside, it is a very strong card that has seen less and less play as time has gone on, but has always maintained a solid price point. So it's good to see that it's kind of like gone back up to like a healthier price. But boy, oh boy, am I liking where I'm liking the prices where it's at today because it seems really good if you've been having these Elsas for a very long time.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good plan if you were like collecting some of these or if you're picking them up over time. The card's great, and I didn't expect us to get an even better shiftable Elsa target because we nobody ever shifted this card. You know, we never really shifted this. The 3-drop Elsa that we had and the 5-drop Elsa were kind of just mid, but the Fit Spirit, very powerful card. Beast Tragic Hero. Elsa and Robin Hood kind of went up in price this week, but a lot of other cards kind of came down in price. So Beast Tragic Hero no longer near that $40 price range. Check it out. Lowest verified is $35, $34.24 actually. Shipping included by in-house games. Starcross cards, they have it for just a little bit cheaper. They're a non-verified seller, $33 with $1 shipping. And then after that, it does start to hit $35, $37 again. So maybe you want to take advantage of those couple listings that are at the bottom right there if you guys need some Beast Tragic Heroes. And cold foils are actually coming down a little bit in price too, not in that $70 range anymore. 67 with $1.27 shipping by Katina's Cards. I don't see a lot of people playing this in 4 anymore. You know what I mean? Especially Emerald Steel definitely has come down in popularity. A lot of people don't play this in Amber Steel necessarily, so the popularity of this card is coming down just a little bit. Same thing goes with Clarabelle. Clarabelle's still a very good card, I think, in the meta. But it's the popularity comes up and down. They're no longer in that $40 range, but still more than 35 actually. Pbor Comics has them for 31 with $5 shipping, and then Izzy Comics is the lowest verified today, 36 with $1 shipping for your Clarabelles, and they kind of stick around 36, $37. So not necessarily $40 anymore. That was only for a couple days. And cold foils, wow. This cold foil for $40 by Kubal's TCG, that's a pretty good deal right there. Trading Collective also $40. Okay, they're only $40 for the cold foils in the first 3 listings. That's really good to see because that's only $5 more than the non-foil. I think you guys are way better off getting the non-foil. Look at this. Cold foil beasts are still almost $70 when the non-foils came down to almost $30. Why not just get the cold foil Clarabelles for $40 when the non-foils are $35? You see that difference? Kind of interesting, right? Okay, Rapunzel, gifted with healing. Check this out, Zach Stone. Going up in price again, almost $50, $44 with $1 shipping for your Rapunzel's gifted with healing. And your cold foils, there's only 20 listings left. $69 for a light plate, $72.99 by RRL Games for a near mint Rapunzel cold foil. Bottom of the page, they hit $78 already, man.
Yeah, I'm very much a firm on the verified sellers when it comes to like cards in this kind of category. As somebody that is just buying and selling a lot of Lorcana, the cards that I can't hang on to are just the staples that we're talking about today. A lot of these cards are going and not coming back. I'm get to buy in a good amount of stuff, but every once in a while when I'm getting decent buys, I don't get these in either. Like this is a card that rarely comes up, and it's very competitive in in the field that you're buying cards from. The space that I'm in, there's a lot of other vendors that would love to have this in their inventory. So it just becomes more of a supply and demand. And from my experience, guys, if you're able to get your hands on these, and you should just find the best price you can and take that. If you're in the market, if you're looking to pick this card up, it's been very hard to find for myself. I've been very grateful to just own my play sets of foils for a very long time, and I've never intended on getting rid of any of these cards that I keep, I use, and it's a blessing, but at the the same time, these cards are a little bit challenging to find. So good luck to everyone looking to pick up these cards today. We have another card though that's been a little bit easier to find, but as time has kind of gone by, we've seen the price dip and slowly creep back up. Prince Naveen today is looking at about $30. We have a verified seller at 29.34. Starts to go back up over that. So you can pick up about 4 of them for just under $31. And this card is seen more in play, like Steel Song, like we said, Steel Song starting to take more precedent into the format. Cold foils are not so much more; they're just $10 more. It's interesting to see Clarabelle's at like a price point that is almost equivalent to its cold foil comparison, but this card is, at least like $10 more. I think that's funny. Your thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that speaks volumes on on picking up some certain cold foils right now rather than on foils. And it's really like if you're gonna pick up the Clarabelles, why not just spend $5 more and make them shiny? And then in the future, those cold foils are gonna they're gonna maintain a different value compared to the non foils. Same thing with Prince Naveen, man. Like $10 is obviously a bigger difference, but we saw how Prince Naveen was selling for a little bit more than $40 during like the first week of the hype, and if you bought cold foils, I'm pretty sure they were selling for like 45, 50. And now the non foils have come all the way down to even less than 30 last week. And today, cold foils are still close to that $40 range, 37 with $2 shipping. You know what I mean? So the cold foils haven't really moved around too much outside of the launch date from like $46 to 37 with $2 shipping. You know what I mean? Whereas the non-foils, they've been fluctuating. They've been super volatile from $40 on the very first days of release all the way down to freaking, remember it was like $10, $12 and then it shot up to 35 and 40 again, and then it fell to 25 and now it's at 30. It's just, there's so much volatility with non-foils too. So I just prefer cold foils when it comes to a lot of like legendaries or something, like Diablo, for example. I don't have cold foils, but I really do want them. These are kind of going back up in price a little bit. I feel like a lot of them were selling for $30-ish and the last couple weeks, and now lowest verified is 32.96 by Card Crack with a K. They have 5 of them for you right there, so you can actually just buy them all from this one seller. Same thing with Encore Collectibles. Shout out you guys for having 5 of these ready to go for someone who needs playsets. $32.97 each though, so around $33 now. I feel like you were able to get them for a little bit less than 30 in the beginning of the format because people were kind of like, oh, I don't want to play Emerald anymore because Bucky's gone. But Diablo's still a great card. Cold foils, almost $10 more. Sparkling City TCG has them for $39. So if I could find some cold foil Diablos, I'd definitely upgrade. Mufasa, ruler of the Pride Rock. This card definitely coming down from that $35+ mark all the way to $21. Pro Play Games, shout out you guys. 21, 25. Hey, huge shout out Pro Play Games, by the way, for organizing and hosting the DLCs. Gemini Games LLC has you for $20.49 for Mufasa Pride Rock. Still a pretty great card in the format. I think in general, like it's a super heavy hitter. I feel like a lot of the Ruby Sapphire decks are starting to play this card now too. We did see a couple lists with this card in some of the videos we did over the weekend, either from the Charlie's Collectible 10K or some other tournament deck lists. So be sure to check out that video, by the way. They're on the channel. But cold foils for Mufasa are going to be only $30 basically. Lowest verified for a near mint is going to be $31.99 for a cold foil Mufasa. We have some light blades already for $29.99 with $2 shipping, and then we have some non-verifieds for $28.35 with 70 cents shipping. So around $30 for a cold foil Mufasa, ruler of Pride Rock. I like this card, Zach. Would you think it's mandatory in your Ruby Sapphire decks though?
Mandatory is a different take. I don't necessarily think that that's a correct position on it. However, the card has done well for some of my friends in my testing circle. It is a card that doesn't necessarily win you the game when it's played, but unanswered can just snowball a victory. Being able to kind of just manipulate your ink and play a bunch of make a bunch of different plays in a turn is where you want to be in a ramp style deck. And don't forget, guys, that when you play cards that give you extra exerted ink in your inkwell, when you quest with this character, you ready all of that ink. So it allows you to kind of like play your Tippos, play your Donalds and Mickeys, and get that extra ink to be able to play on the following turn. or just have a snowball victory with a bunch of characters flood the board. And he does quest for 4. So if that is a nice lucky dime target, if I ever seen one. And yeah, honestly, I get their cold foils based on the price point. It's not too far off. I definitely think that this card will see a lot more play, and you never know the direction that the devs will take in the color and ink colors. So we could see Sapphire get a lot of ramp later and make this card kind of like an all-in style card where once you play it like a turn 4, you win the game. So I'd like to see something like that.
That would be a little too much, I think, even for me. But there's a way to bring this out on turn 4. You got to play it with Amber, though. You can play Ursula Vanessa, then Gaston, and try everything. And you can play this Mufasa on turn 4, and then you'll have 2 ink left to play the game. But yeah, ramping into this, it would be crazy. I never thought about that interaction, by the way, Zach Stone, using Mickey, Donald, and then playing Mufasa, so you ready that ink that you got off of your one jump style effects. That's some big brain activity right there. So Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock, consider that for your Sapphire decks. Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. I bring this one up because they're so cheap. They're so cheap, and I don't know if they're gonna go up anytime soon. I feel like the only deck that's playing this is Ruby Sapphire. Lowest verified for Maleficent Monster Dragon is $20, $20, and with $1.35 shipping. And look at these. There's some non-verified sellers that have it for just a couple cents less. I think this is a great buy right now. I really like this card in this format. So hyper aggro is hyper aggro, right? Like you gotta respect it. But a lot of people are starting to kind of back off from hyper aggro. You can see it in the prices that we're gonna go over soon. Daisy Ducks are cheaper, Lilos are cheaper, Maleficent, Biding Her Times are cheaper today, and I think a lot of people are just offloading their hyper aggro stuff because they're having a hard time combating Amber Steel and Ruby Sapphire. And I think with that being said, we're going to start heading towards more of a control-based format. I'm already playing Maleficent Monstrous Dragon and Ruby Amethyst again. I'm just throwing that out there, my goons. I think it's a great card, and I'm not trying to show nothing. I just really think that we're sleeping on this legendary. It almost reminds me of like Elsa in the sense where like, is this going to go back up in price because we're going to start seeing this come back into play, right? So I like this card a lot. I'm curious to see what the cold foils are looking like today. $65, not bad. Somebody call my friend Mike because he was complaining so bad that he could not get these cold foil in like chapter 2 and chapter 3. Then they jumped up to $120 for the cold foils. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. If you guys weren't playing during that format, yeah, these were almost $120 in April, right? And now they've come back down to $65. So you never know. You never know. It could get to that hype point again where Ruby Sapphire is the best deck. I feel like a lot of people are playing Ruby Sapphire, and I see a lot of people playing Maleficent Dragon in Ruby Sapphire, right? Alongside cards like Sisu, Empowered Sibling. Check this out. Lowest verified for this is a non-foil. Yeah, lowest verified for a non-foil today. It's going to be $17.99. That's by D Cards right there. Shout out you guys. And then Play to Win Games has them for $18.97. They have 14 of them ready for you though. So no, you can just get them all from them if you want play sets. But this card is almost $20 still, so that's kind of nice. I feel like they were sitting at 15 for a very long time, right, Zach?
Yeah, the release of Ursula's Return had this card, I remember, at like $16, $17 when it started, doubled in price within like a few days. And then as time has gone, it's gotten back down. But we're seeing a resurgence and it's starting to creep back up. And a lot of these sets that, once a new set's really like released and out there, we start to see older set stuff steadily rise over time, especially if it sees a lot of play. And we know this card is starting to be a 4 of in Ruby Ruby Sapphire decks and some Ruby Am decks too. Not to mention, it's just one of those shift cards. So playing it a turn early is very threatening, and a lot of people have to be aware of that. And it quests for 3, so don't underestimate this card whatsoever. Cold foils, I think, are maybe around like $25. So I think it's a really good call to go ahead
Wow.
and pick up your.
You called that spot on,
Oh,
dude.
Oh yeah, no. Card prices rarely go crazy. Sometimes they get bought out and they're pretty much like inflated in that moment. But the card has been around $23 to $25 from what I remember. I know I bought and sold one within the past week or so. So yeah, I didn't just necessarily call it out of thin air. I had some, some little bit of prior knowledge before I made an educated guess, I would call. But
Prior
yeah, this is
prior
a very,
knowledge
very strong card.
prior knowledge
Yeah, yeah.
because you sell cards for a living, like all the time. This is what you do. I would hope you know the prices. You see, this is how you know Zach Stone's legit, bro. He just knows price off the top of his head. Daisy Ducks have been going down in price. This is what we were talking about. I feel like people are kind of leaving the hyper aggro strategy. You know what I mean? Lowest verified for your Daisy Ducks is going to be $12 by Izzy Comics, and then First Save Point has them for $14. These were selling for $20 in the beginning of the format, dude. Cold foils, there's 41 listings now for cold foils. Now the cold foils are $20. 22.99 by the Light. Shout out you guys. There are locals in Southern California. Yeah, 22.99 for your cold foil daisies. I feel like, yeah, you were better off getting the cold foils in the beginning because those were like 25, maybe 30. And now they're the same price as the non foils in the beginning of the week. Hyper Aggro is still a great deck. Don't get me wrong. It's just people know how to play around it. They know what to prioritize. They know what cards to add to their deck. And like Ice Block Sisu just disrespects that deck sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh. So I feel like with the amount of Ice Blocks running around in the format, how confident are you to run a card like Daisy Duck? And on top of that, run a whole strategy around Daisy Duck. Whole New Worlds kind of going back up in a price recently as of the recent win of Brendan DeCandio using Amber Steel to take first place at the Charlie's Collectible 10K. We've just been seeing this card shoot up in price from the end of August. From the end of August up until now. Lowest verified is now $13.99 by CK Card Shop, so almost $15. And a couple non-verified sellers like Vamos Cosmos Store for $11.99 with $2 shipping. So let's see what the cold foils are looking like for Whole New Worlds, because I know these were almost $25 last time we looked. Yeah, lowest verified Nerd Rage Gaming 25 with $2 shipping. And yeah, same thing. Lorcana Unlimited, lowest non-verified, $20 with $5 shipping as well. So about $25 for your foil. Whole New Worlds this week. The Queen's Castle still sticking around $10. They definitely mandatory card in Amethyst, and not all Amethyst decks, obviously, but I think if you're playing Ruby Amethyst, this is still like a 4 of. No longer in that $15 range though. Spellbound Texas has them for $10 with shipping included. And if you want cold foils, they're not that much more in my opinion. If anything, I remember paying $15 for non-foil Queen's Castles, and now you can get the cold foils for $15. Iron City Games has them for $14.45, shipping included, and every seller after that pretty much has it at $14 with $1 shipping, so around $15 for your cold foil Queen's Castle. Yeah, locations are just they're very powerful. You know, there's not as much location removal as there is. It's just Amethyst has the best locations, Castle and Library. It's actually kind of wild. And speaking of library, I want to go over this cold foil real quick. Lowest verified for the libraries is Nat 20 Games GG, $4.87 with $1.27 shipping. They have 3 of them for you, and a lot of them are kind of stick around that price: $5.75 with $1.27, $4.77 with $2.50 shipping. So a little bit more than $5 for your cold foil libraries, and I think they're gonna I think they have potential, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think they're going to be that cheap for that long. What do you think, Zach? Do you like the locations like Library and Castle?
I think that they're always going to have an impact in the way you build your deck. You have to consider locations and the prevalence of like them kind of closing out games. I do know that there are a lot of strategies that involve, having location removal built in, the luxury that Steel and now Sapphire have of Simba and Cusco. So these cards could see a little less play depending on like your local meta. But as far as like DLC and challenge events, you have to respect locations and you have to consider them and you have to be able to play around them. And this is just another example of why Ruby M will always kind of be like a defining deck in the format. Um, However, we see the Queen Diviner. It's a card that has gone up since in the past like month or so. There's still people. Even yesterday, I was at a local game store and somebody had some of these in their binder, and I'm willing to let go of like enchanteds and for any like playable inventory. And I was like reminding them kind of like, oh well, all your cards combined I think have a value of like, I think I said like $60-$70, or I can't remember exactly. He's like, whoa, how did it get to that much? And when I went and explained that, like, oh yeah, these are like $8 to $9, he's like, what? I've had these since they were like 2 to 3, and I'm like, well, there you go. And it just goes to show that, like, yeah, the keeping current with a lot of the market prices is very important. And not to say this in like any like certain way, but like an individual that isn't aware of that could be, taken advantage of, and you really can't control how other people choose to do their business. And unfortunately, you're in a secondary market where there are no actual rules. It's just based on your own morale and decisions. So be mindful about that, everybody. Just kind of do your due diligence and make sure you're aware of the cards you got in your trade binders, because these cards can go up over time. Cold foils, however, are just only like $5 more than their counterpart. And if you're looking to pick some of these up for some item-based Sapphire decks, I'd get the cold foils, because you already know what Kevin and I say. The prices are either bound to go up or down, but what's likely to go up is a cold foil. It's likely to go down as a normal. So you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong when it's only that much more. So get your cold foil diviners. Kevin, do you have any?
Not cold foil, no, unfortunately. But yeah, same thing happened to me. I was gonna sell this card, and I looked it up, and I was like, "Whoa, why are these $9, $10?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, this deck did win Weiss's Bologna, but I didn't realize they were that expensive." And right here,
YCS, huh?
DLC. Yeah, there you go, DLC Bologna. I didn't realize that they had gone up that much since winning DLC Bologna. So they're basically $10 now. And look at this. There's two sellers that have two of them each, so that's a really good deal right there. But yeah, that person that you were trading with, they need to watch the Lorcana Goons Market Watch, because we went over the Queen Diviner, I think on Monday or last Friday. And if they were watching the Lorcana Goons Market Watch, then they wouldn't that wouldn't have been the same situation. But just like you were saying, Zach, yes, it does benefit you to know the prices of the cards in your trade binder, and I think that's one of the reasons why. Sorry, I know that's one of the reasons why I like doing these videos as well. Me and you have played card games for well over like 10 years, and I still remember the sting in my soul of what it feels like to sell a card or trade a card, and then you find out hours later from one of your friends or from like your big bro that the card you traded was actually worth way more than the card you got, but you didn't know. You didn't know because some older guy, some person with more experience than you took advantage of the situation, and et cetera, et cetera. So it definitely it pays to keep up with the news, to keep up with like what's winning what, keep up with the meta, keep up with the trends, and it pays to like, comment, and subscribe to the Lorcana Goons channel so that you don't miss out on these videos and these card price updates and these meta trend updates as well. Check this out, Merlin Intellectual Visionary coming down in price. Check this out. Lowest verified is 871. These were like $15 for a while. Even I tried this. Even I wanted to try this in Blurple because the card it reads like a good card, right? Non-verified sellers have it for as low as $7 though. $6.98 with the $1.27 shipping for your Merlin Intellectual Visionaries, and now the cold foils are $13. The cold foils are $12.47 with the $1.27 shipping by Cupcakes Card Daiquiri. Shout out you guys. You know what I see a lot of people playing in their decks lately? Scar, Vicious Cheater. Don't know how much this card would go up in price for that reason. However, I definitely see a lot of people playing this in their Ruby Sapphire decks and even some Ruby Amethyst decks. Right now, they're only $6. In-house games, lowest verified $5.89. Not bad at all. Then Lorcana Golden Lady has two of them for you for $5.90, and Card Crack with a K has six of them for you for $5.98. You can get a whole playset of scars from one person this Friday. That's not bad at all. Cold foil Scar Vicious Cheaters are going to be $20 still. $20.49 by Lore Alley for your Vicious Cheater Scar. Yeah, again, I've been seeing people play this again in their Ruby Sapphire decks or in Ruby Amethyst, and I think it's pretty good. I think people are sleeping on this card. Very good against Hyper Aggro as well. Let's check this out. Flyn Ryder, Frenemy. I've been seeing people play this card again. $3.19 with a $1.27 shipping, lowest verified. And then after that, non-verified sellers have them for $2.35 with a $1.27 shipping. So not bad at all. And again, I bring this up because this card was like what, $6 at one point last format. It kind of fell off, and then people stopped playing it. Now you can get the cold foils for that price, $7.49 from a non-verified, or $9 by Games for Meeple. Shipping included. They have two of them for you right there. And I think people are going to start playing Flyn Ryder again. It almost feels like you have to play Flyn Ryder again in Ruby Amethyst to combat the Ruby Sapphire matchup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I would like to agree with you. I just haven't been playing a lot of Ruby Amethyst this format, but Yeah, I don't necessarily think I could agree with you on that just because I haven't been testing a lot of Ruby Am lately. My first initial thoughts is I'm a little scared about this card surviving with Steel Song kind of being a lot more prevalent than it was before. But you're right. This price is just kind of gone down, and we've seen it at a lot higher of a price point for sure, especially in the set 4 format. So, pick up your cold foils if you've been looking to pick these up. If you're waiting for them to go down, now's your chance. They are uh, they are at a good price, better than they've seen them in a while. And if you say it's mandatory in the deck again, I gotta take your word for it. You know, you got two DLC tops with Rubiam, and your opinion can't be necessarily disregarded whatsoever. So I trust you in that sense. If I had to play it again, I would probably just add four in my deck and go from there.
Thank you, thank you. I have been playtesting a lot recently because I really want to prep for Vegas with Rubiam, and I'll admit right now I'm actually not playing it in the deck, but I'm taking a risk by deciding to not play it, and but it's either I'll basically say it's either I play four Flynn's or I'm playing four Castle, four Library. You know what I mean? And I feel like in order to beat like Ruby Sapphire with the way it's built now, you have to just either slap on too many locations and then they can't out them, or you have to play Flyn Ryder again. And but the problem with Flyn Ryder is that it's bad against every other matchup. It loses out to Amber Steel. It loses out to a lot of the Emerald decks now because they're able to just play cards. They're able to play tempo cards in response to your Flynn. Even if you play Sisu, now they're playing a bunch of cards to remove your Sisu and your Flynn in the Emerald Amber, Emerald Steel. You know what I mean? Sorry, not Emerald Amber, Emerald Amethyst. They're playing cards that exert your cards like Elsa. It just a lot of decks have like character removal. We're playing a two cost character with two strength and two willpower on turn two right now isn't my favorite thing to do. But like you were saying, getting the cold foils for $7 right now when the cold foils were selling for almost $20 last format, that seems like a really good like come up, especially because I feel like the strategy behind Flyn Rider is good. Like I think it's a great card. It just might not be the best right now today. And then another thing too is a lot of people are playing Ice Block Sisu, and when you drop Flyn Rider, they can drop if you're going second. They'll have Ice Block already on board by their turn three. They can just play their uninkable Sisu character, and it pops your Flynn. So there's so many outs to Sisu Flynn Rider combo nowadays, or but I still think it's very good. Like I think it's like the natural decision maker is like, okay, I'm losing to Ruby Sapphire and I'm not playing Flynn, so I need to play Flynn again. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of Ruby Amethyst players are definitely going to gravitate towards playing Flynn Rider again. Check this out, dude. Cinderella Ballroom Sensation going up in price as well. Lowest verified today is going to be $4.40 with $1.27 shipping by Lorcana Golden Lady. And they kind of stick around that $5 price for your non-foil Ballroom Sensation. So these are now a $5 rare again. And the cold foils are double the price, $9.97 by HE Games. Shout out you guys. Yeah, I mean, Amber Steel, man, flavor of the week. A lot of people want to play it. Speaking of expensive cold foils, Zach Stone, you pointed this out to me. Look at this. Lowest verified for MIM Fox today is $28 by Stone Drink Collects. Then Beast Warriors has them for $30. The next verified seller. These just shot up in price. They were literally $15 on August 14th. Now they're $30 for a cold foil MIM Fox. Whoa. Only two listings, that's why, but still, man, what the heck is going on? And somebody
I
bought them. Look, $26.75, $20, $25. Wow.
I think it's time that everyone realizes how good the MIM Merlin package is. This is one of the highest stat 3 cost cards. The drawback is very much non-existent in my eyes, but the power that this card does have is always something that is considered going into any Amethyst turn 3. You have to respect it, and you always have to kind of respect it going forward.
It's also a
Foxes have been very
I was gonna say it's also a card that changed the meta entirely because it's just you can't play characters early on that have weak bodies or even 4 willpower because they'll just die to Fox. And on top of that, it's a card from the second chapter, Rise of the Floodborn, the second set. And I don't know about you, but it feels like they don't really print the second set. You know what I mean? Or it just almost feels like they printed a bunch of the first chapter and then a bunch of Inklands, and it almost feels like they don't have a lot of Floodborn printed. So like it's a card that I'm not surprised, but it seems like a cold foil Fox is hard to pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean the normals are guaranteed from the starter decks, and you get a Merlin Rabbit as well. And the card itself is just always always seen, play in any Amethyst deck. It's just always a staple with even the hyper aggro lists. They may not play Merlin Rabbit, but they still play Fox. So we
Yeah,
just come to see that Fox is a lot more staple in Amethyst decks than other packages
yeah.
in this sense. But the cold foil rabbits are still expensive too, 21-24 from Troll and Toad. And if you're coming from the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, there is a joke with Troll and Toad near mint. So just keep in mind, guys, that you may still have to do your own due diligence and check out every review possible, or just kind of make sure that you're willing to reach back out to them if you do have any issues. Sellers on TCG are more than happy to kind of help you there. At least I can speak for myself on that point. But the card is just a staple in Ruby M. It is the reason why Ruby M gets to do what it does. And Kevin and I always talk about how you have to protect your rabbits. So now you have to protect them even more because the prices keep going up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mad that I don't have foil rabbits and foil foxes. I was hesitant to buy them when they were $15, and now I'm even more mad because they're obviously almost double. I think Rabbit is the best card in Lorcana, and I'm gonna die on that hill. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I think Merlin Rabbit easily the best card in Lorcana. Like, when people were saying that Hiram Flavorsham was gonna get eroded, my first thought was like, there's no way this card gets eroded first in a card like Merlin Rabbit. Like, Merlin Rabbit is a guaranteed +2. That's the only card in Lorcana that guarantees you a +2. No other card does that. If I draw Hiram by itself, it does nothing. It does nothing by itself. If I draw Rabbit by itself, I'm gonna draw 2 cards off that Rabbit. It's actually crazy. Merlin Rabbit is the best card. Anyways, speaking of Hiram Flavorsham, cold foils are $20 today. Lowest verified is actually $23 today. X Control, shout out you guys, $23 for your Hiram Flavorshams. Damn, these have been going up in price. And we've been seeing a lot of Ruby Sapphire coming back into the meta, and this is a huge staple in any Sapphire deck. So not only that, people are playing the Emerald Sapphire item list, and people still play Sapphire Steel. So $20+ for your cold foil Hiram Flavorshams. Grab your swords or some other expensive foils this week, which are really nice to see. These went from like $8 all the way up to $15. Lowest verified is going to be $13.39 with $1 shipping by Under TCG. After that, we have a $15 cold foil by Cognitive Collectibles with $1.50, and then Little Root Games shoots up the price to $18. So they might get to $20 soon. This is a card from the first chapter, and the non-foils come in a starter deck. The cold foils obviously do not, and they're always hard to acquire, so I'm not surprised these are shooting up this much, especially with the popularity of Amber Steel, or even like steel decks in general. We don't talk about Bruno. Ironically enough, these are still pretty cheap actually, only about $4 to $5. Steel Fox Games has them for $3.19 with $1.27 shipping. Lowest verified right there, and they kind of stick around that $3.19 price hold with $1.27 shipping. So about $5 for your cold foil Brunos. I don't think that's bad at all. This feels like a staple in Emerald, the same way Pete feels like a staple in Steel, and these are still almost $10, dude. And there's 20 listings now, so that there's not the scarcity isn't necessarily there. It's more of the demand, right? Cold foil Pete's lowest verified $8.19. 79-cent shipping by Rad Lad Games. So almost $10 for your cold foil Pete's, dude. What do you think about that, Zach?
Games is just a meta defining card. I don't know how else to tell it. There was huge discourse on a ruling implying how this card's trigger, if not announced on play, could be misinterpreted as not being in play at all.
uh,
Cards like that alone just, to me, tell me that they're trying to find ways to beat this card that don't necessarily exist. They're trying to say that you don't get the trigger if you don't declare it. Well, that's not how cards work, in my opinion. If cards have triggers that are mandatory, they happen, and both players need to be cognizant of that. So even if you are, trying to be the referee in your local game store, make sure to check out our Quest with a Guest, because our most recent episode does actually feature a Lorcana judge, and Pete Referee was a card that we thought wouldn't cause any problems, would be very plain and simple, but as you can tell, has definitely made an impact in the price and in the meta.
Yeah, meta defining in the sense where now people are trying to rule strike you into not being able to use it. But the official ruling, by the way, for that, there was a developer that they basically answered everyone's question and said, when triggers like this happen, the only time that a player has to acknowledge them is when it's relevant. So like if you were to play Pete and I don't say if I play Pete, I don't say anything, and then next turn you try and play a Be Prepared, and I say, hey, I played Pete last turn. That is the acknowledgement of relevancy that saying that I triggered the effect. You know what I mean? But if for whatever reason I let that resolve, and then like two steps later you play a character, I say, hey, wait, by the way, I played Pete last turn. You can't play Be Prepared. The argument would be, well, when I played Be Prep, you didn't acknowledge it, so you didn't trigger Pete's, right? But so that's like that would be like that's like the actual ruling. Basically, they want to avoid gotcha moments. They don't want something silly like, oh, you can't play Beat Prep, buddy, because I played Pete last turn. No, and then the opponent's gonna be like, no, dude, you didn't trigger Pete last turn, so I can play my Beat Prep. So they want to avoid that basically. I mean, and that goes along with everything else. Whenever triggers happen, as long as you acknowledge them when it's relevant, then you can say, yes, I triggered this, even though I didn't shout to the rooftops that I had to trigger it. Because obviously, if I'm playing Pete, then I'm gonna use the ability, you know. But yeah, dude. It's please go check out that Quest with the Guest episode. We sat down with Judge Phil, a really awesome episode. We went over some rulings. We didn't go over this Pete ruling because we filmed it before this whole Pete nonsense was going down. But focus on the game of Lorcana. Focus on playing the game correctly. Focus on playing by the rules, on winning, on doing the right plays. Don't focus on little things that don't matter, like trying to prove some gotcha moment to your opponent. If that's how you're trying to win in card games, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna get very far in card games, 100%. But that's gonna be all for our Market Watch video. Remember, guys, we do these every Friday and Monday. On Fridays, we take some extra time and we sit down with Zach Stone. So can I get a big thank you to Zach Stone in the chat, please, in the comments? Thank you, Zach Stone. Any shout outs you want to give before we call it a day?
As much as I appreciate all the thank yous, guys, I have a local thank you I'd like to give out to Dave and his helpful assistance providing Donald Ducks to my friend. If you're listening, Dave, I told you I'd shout you out. And honestly, guys, it means a lot. The Donald Duck I'm referencing is the common from the new set that allows you to ramp up a card. And I was suggesting to my friend that he try it out in his Emerald Sapphire list, and he didn't have any. And the guy right across from me, so he kindly offered to let him borrow some, and I really appreciate that. The community is awesome, and we really emphasize that you guys make the impact of where you are. And as always, guys, please stay tuned to Lorcana Goons. We will see you goons next time.